few months back, I did an Oura Ring app review for the Android app specifically. And there's been a lot of updates since then, so I wanted to go over some of those. And I've had a few comments on the original video. So here's the Oura app on Android again. This is what it looks like from the homepage. You have your activity goal progress at the top. I don't recall if I set that 600 number that it's out of, but whatever your goal is, it tells you how you're doing. I've done 474 calories active burn so far. It's given me an activity score of 89, and it tells me I've been inactive for an hour 20. So one of the new features that has been added since my last video is this record workout heart rate feature. So I'm going to go ahead and press that. And you have some choices here. You can do, it'll record workouts for indoor cycling, indoor running, which is treadmill, outdoor cycling, outdoor running, or walking. So let's go ahead and pick walking here. Brings you to this screen, and you can press at the top there. You can change if you want. It's toggle to outdoor running, back to walking, whatever. It's pretty quick. It's pretty snappy. That's one thing I really like about Oura over, I used Whoop for a year prior, the Whoop band prior to Oura. And I find the Oura app much better. It loads my data much quicker. I used to have to wait for the Whoop band to load. And keep in mind, Whoop has upgraded since the band that I had. I believe I had the 3rd generation, and they now have a 4th generation. But regardless, here's where we are with the Oura. So then you hit record, and it starts taking your workout, starts taking your heart rate during the course of your workout. You can pause it and resume. Say you take a break, whatever, you can pause it and resume. And then when you want to end it, you hit pause again and end workout. Takes a moment to sync the session data and tells me I burned 3 calories. Tells you the times, the duration, everything you need to know about your workout. You can even edit it. You can manually change like what the workout was. You can change your start time, the duration, and the intensity. It automatically assigns an intensity based on your heart rate during the intensity. So anyways, that's a cool little feature that's been added since the last time I did this. That workout functionality is a cool feature that's been added since the last time I made this video. So next, the little module we have below the workout one is our heart rate. You can see it goes by time from midnight last night to midnight tonight. I have a gap. I took my ring off for a few hours. Sometimes I like to take it off if I'm holding my iPad or something because I don't want to scratch the metal on the iPad. But anyways, yeah, so showing my heart rate, shows my heart rate in real time. If you press the heart button, it says measuring heart rate, hold still, and usually takes about 10 seconds, and then it'll give me a reading. There it is. And then we can click on that little module, and it'll tell me, I did a workout this morning right before taking my ring off, and so my heart rate got elevated. Those little dotted lines are, I wasn't running the manually started heart rate workout function, so it gives me these little dotted lines instead of a solid line. If it had been a workout, it would reflect in orange. Let me see if I don't know if I can tell from the calendar. But it tells you restorative time. Let me see if I can go back a few days. So here's a restorative time right there. That was probably a meditation, or if you take a nap or something like that, something where your heart rate gets especially low, then it'll reflect as green. It tells you your sleeping heart rate here. And one thing that's cool about Oura is it gives you some insight into what your heart rate means. So you got your hammock, which is where your heart rate starts a little bit high. It drops lower throughout the night and bottoms at about the middle of the night. And then it starts to rise again towards the time where you wake up. And then it tells you what these indicate, like it's saying here that your body relaxes and your blood pressure and heart rate drop. And this is the optimal heart rate curve. And then sometimes you'll have this. This can be caused by going to bed unusually late or snoring due to your airways relaxing. So it just gives you some insight into your patterns. And I've definitely noticed that these are accurate. Like it says the one that is about a late meal. I've definitely had a meal right before bed, and I notice my heart rate stays high and then drops much later in the night. So that's a little insight on sleeping. Then if you do your workouts, it shows you your detailed workout heart rate range there, and then your lowest average of your daytime heart rate. So far, it was when I woke up, it was 47 beats per minute, as we can see there, and you can click the Learn More button and get some more insight on that. You have the option to scroll through past history here. So if I go back a few days, you can see that's about when I woke up, my workout, heart rate went up, relaxation around those times, winding down for bed, shows my green there. So, yeah, pretty cool feature there. Let's go back to today. So activities. So I did activities, and actually these were auto-recognized. So I biked to my gym, did a workout, and then came back, and there was a pop-up here above the activity goal progress module, and it said like something like, did you cycle? And I said yes, and then it knew when I started, it knew the calories that I burned, and then the intensity level throughout the exercise from 5:48 a.m. to 6:11 a.m. So you can view it, you can edit it. I could say, actually, I started at 5:45 or whatever I want to do there, and change the intensity, etc. And this activities recognition portion has gotten better. It used to always default to like my last activity. So if the last thing I did was run, and then I hopped on my bike, it would recognize it as another run. But now it's the last couple weeks, it's been really accurate. If I'm swimming or running or biking or walking, it'll recognize the correct activity and add it to the system accordingly. And then this little thing is you can set a goal, like your reason for using Oura. So I've selected the be more present and focused, working on more mind stuff, wanting to get more into meditation and things like that. And so I've been looking at my heart rate and my temperature and things like that when I enter a state of meditation. And then if you hit the edit my profile, you can change it to be productive and energetic, improve my athletic performance, and so on. And it doesn't functionally change anything about how it works. It just will show up right there and is kind of another reminder on what your goals are. Next, we have the bedtime module. You can sort it by day, week, or month. So if I scroll through here, it tells me when I went to bed, and then there's tags and activities from the day. So you can add these tags, and there's a bunch of them. And so you could say airplane, I was on an airplane, or I drank some alcohol, or took some CBD, I had a long car ride. You can tag it and get really detailed and journal, and you can timestamp it, you can add comments, and this allows you to journal, like, what are the things I did this day that resulted in poor sleep or great sleep? And you can kind of build patterns over time and hopefully improve your sleep. That's kind of the end goal of all of this. So we have our weeks. At the bottom, you have the number of week in the year. So we're in the 39th of the year, 39th week of the year as I record this on September 19th. And I've used this since November of last year. So I have a decent amount of data at this point. And then it tells me by month my average bedtimes. And it's kind of been all over the place since I started using it. Next module we have is the total sleep module. This one is pretty consistent over the last few days. I missed a day there. My battery ran out. I forgot to charge my Ring. And yeah, it's been pretty consistent between like 7.5 and 8.5 hours of sleep. Going out to the week level, looks like I'm right around 7:45 most days the last few weeks, and then by month. And again, you can see my tags there. It tagged walking 38 times, cycling 5 times, running 5 times. And I could dive deeper in and analyze like what led to good or bad sleep on those days. This is a readiness score that the software assigns you. It's based on your heart rate variability and your heart rate, and higher heart rate means you're less recovered. Like if you had a really hard workout yesterday, you might be a little more tired today, and that'll reflect in your readiness score. So 89 is pretty high. As you can see, I'm usually around like high 80s, as high as mid 90s, sometimes into the 70s. So just depends on your recovery state. And then again, broken down by weeks and broken down by months. And one interesting thing is I think I had COVID in July. And so my average was much lower that month because I had a lot of days where my temperature was really high and my other body metrics were not good while I was sick. So the next module we have back to the homepage is the readiness. Again, 89 for today. It's telling me that's optimal. And the backgrounds to these will be different based on how good you did. So right now it's showing blue sky with a little bit of clouds. It's kind of hard to see. It's usually a clearer photo. Yeah, like this. So tomorrow it'll look more like this. So it's kind of like a nice, calming ocean scene telling me I did all right. And so it'll be different. If it's really low, it'll be like a desert, or they try to make it like something to reflect how well or poorly you did. And you get a little crown if it's above, I think 85 is considered optimal. So again, we got these, we got dates at the top. We're looking at today's date. Got 80, or if I click on the bar graph there, it gives me more granular detail. It tells me my readiness score, and then the heart rate in white circle, white dot. Resting heart rate, 45 beats per minute. I can click on all of these images. I'm trending down, so that's good. My sleep's been getting better over the last few days, or my body condition anyways. And then you can look at your heart rate variability. Looks like this. It's also been going up, which is good. Body temperature, it says negative 0.0 degrees Fahrenheit, and that is compared to my baseline. So if I'm, let me see if I can find my COVID. There it is. That was when I had COVID. I was 4 degrees over my baseline, and then each day I got a little bit better until after about a week I was finally back to normal. But you can see generally you're within like half a degree plus or minus of your baseline. Probably was a little under the weather that day. So anyways, that is how you read that. And then it tells you your trends. Your respiratory rate, again, day, week, and month, measured in breaths per minute. I did 15.5 last night. And then you got all these details about your readiness contributors. So, and again, each of these categories, you can click on it and get more granular detail, or it'll give you some more clarification about what it's measuring, how it's measuring, what's normal, and you can really dive into the data in that way. So 45 beats per minute resting heart rate, good heart rate variability balance, body temperature, optimal. Let's see what it considers optimal. Without diving in too deep, but it's probably a range, degree off of normal that it considers optimal. Recovery index, it says, is optimal. Measures how long it takes for your resting heart rate to stabilize during the night. Sleep, it says, is good. Optimal would equal your sleep has a positive effect on your readiness today. Good equals you got enough quality sleep for your needs. And then it would say, pay attention if getting some more quality sleep could improve your readiness. Sleep balance, optimal, previous day activity. It's missing. It says there's not enough data. I took my ring off quite a bit yesterday too, so I think that's why. Activity balance, optimal. And then you got a chart of your heart rate variability at the bottom. So let's go to yesterday. I want to show you gotta scroll at the top there. Okay, there we go. So here on the recovery index for yesterday's score, I gotta pay attention. So it shows up as red, and it tells me where I could do better. All right, so let's head back to the home page. I showed you readiness. I showed you sleep. Right? Did we look at sleep? I guess we didn't. So this is the sleep module. Tells me I got an 81. Tells me pay attention on my restfulness. If I click that, I get this more granular detail. And it gives me this cool graph with awake, REM, light, and deep. And that's a pretty handy little chart there. Total sleep time. Again, you can click on it, review your last few days, weeks, months. Time in bed, 8 hours. Sleep efficiency, 93. Resting heart rate, 45 beats per minute. Total sleep time, efficiency, restfulness, REM sleep, deep sleep, latency. Latency is how long it takes you to fall asleep. You can click on it, again, just like on the previous page with the readiness, and it'll tell you what you need to know about that. Timing tells you if you're on a good pattern of falling asleep at the same time and waking up at the same time. That was a big focus for me over the last couple months, and something that the ring's been really useful for, and pretty accurate. It knows when I analyze it the next day, it'll tell me within a few minutes of the time that I went to bed, and then it's usually spot on in the time I wake up because it detects the movement and it knows I'm no longer sleeping. Time of sleep, 7 hours 43 minutes. And it tells you if you're tossing and turning, you'd see some more white, in the middle. I have a lot of nights like that. Last night was pretty good though. It says total duration, 7 hours or 8 hours, 17 minutes. So that tells me that I spent about a half an hour, awake, tossing and turning throughout the night. So some room for improvement there. Now the blood oxygen feature, I actually have turned off, but this is another one of the new things. And it's actually a firmware update as well. So the first 9 months that I had the ring, it would always have a green light that's measuring the blood flow, heart rate, all that stuff. This blood oxygen sensor is something that the ring shipped with, but the software didn't support it yet. So it activates some red lights, which measure the blood oxygen levels in your finger, through your finger. And it's usually, as it said on the little information screen there, that healthy levels are 95 to 100%. I usually found mine was about 98%, 99%. And it's a cool thing to turn on every once in a while. But what I found, and this is important, that lately my ring, the battery life's been a lot worse. When I first got it, I would get 5 or 6 days between charges. Since this update, when I have the blood oxygen feature activated, I would get like 2 or 3 days. When I turn it off, I get 3 or 4 days. So the battery life has diminished in less than a year of use. I'll keep you posted on that if it's continuing to wear down, or maybe we'll get some firmware updates that make it a little more efficient. But that is worth pointing out, that the battery life is degraded after a year of use. And it's telling me that my breathing regularity could not be measured because your ring's battery is too low. Remember to charge your ring before going to bed. Lowest heart rate, again, 45. We've seen this data already. And looking at the bottom here, the bottom of the screen, you got your home page, you got readiness and sleep activity, which we've seen all these, but just through the modules on the homepage. So you got goal progress, total burn, walking equivalency, steps, And then it tells me how I'm doing on some activity contributors, if I've moved every hour, if I've stayed active, etc., training frequency, training volume, and it'll offer me advice if I'm optimal or if I should be doing a little more training or a little more intense training, need a little more recovery time, and so on. And then it tells me about my workouts. Again, it recorded 2 cycling trips this morning. And then you can scroll through previous days using the top of the page here. And lastly, on the bottom, we have the Explore button. And I've used this a few times, especially when I first got it. You can do some meditations here, guided meditations, which are great. You got a lot of choices. You can focus them by category. There's an awaken, focus, relax, unwind for sleep. And these are guided meditations. You can also do breath work, sleep. They have like guided stories or just guided general meditations. And then they also have these little courses. You can do learning. These are all included with the subscription. That was taking too long to open, so I didn't want to worry about it. Here at the bottom, we got examples, bedtime tips for light, sound, temperature, and sleep score. And that just gives you a little more information about how to effectively use the product. And you can also do unguided sessions. So you just set a time from 1 minute up to 60 minutes or open-ended. I usually do 15 or 20. And then when you start it, it'll tell you your heart rate variability trend, and your skin temperature. And then you can add like some background white noise at the station, rainfall, waves, that type of thing, and toggle on a chime sound at the end. Then you hit start. Gives you a little countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then it goes for 15 minutes, or as long as you set with the background noise going. I'm going to go ahead and end that early. And then it'll give us a little score here about how we did, and it asks you how you feel. So you can kind of journal like, I feel much better after my meditation, or I feel the same as usual. And if we had more data here, it would show us what our lowest heart rate was, and compared to our nighttime baseline, it would show us our heart rate variability and our skin temperature. But I guess I didn't meditate long enough to bring that up. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So that is it. The oxygen sensing, it can be turned on from the menu here. Just go to breathing regularity, tap that, and then you just toggle that on. And now when I go to sleep at night, it would show that red light that takes my blood oxygen, and it would give me that on my page tomorrow. Let me know how my blood oxygen levels are. There's a trends page. You can see how you're doing with all these different portions of sleep. I won't go into them all, but you can see how you're trending on your bedtimes. You can go into your readiness, your activity. And that's the most important features. It's been pretty long, but there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of data that you can use. And I feel like it's helped my sleep. I've tried a few things. I've tried like cutting out caffeine. I've tried consistent wake ups and bedtime bedtimes. And I've noticed how those trends have affected me. I've noticed how sauna use has affected me. And it's all been useful data as I try to improve my sleep and my readiness. Hopefully this has been useful. Please comment if you have any questions or if there's anything else you'd like to see, and I'll do my best to share that. Thank you very much. Bye.